A poisonous drug used on elephants is being pressed into fake pills to look like painkillers and funneled into Washington, D.C., a silent cartel weapon disguised as medicine to kill the masses.
In Washington state, federal agents just seized more than 50,000 counterfeit pills laced with a drug even more powerful than fentanyl. It's called Carfentanil, and officials say it's 100 times more potent than fentanyl.
Carfentanil isn't fentanyl. It is estimated to be 10,000 times more potent than morphine and 100 times stronger than fentanyl, a compound so deadly it's used to tranquilize large animals such as elephants. It is extraordinarily potent and was never approved for humans.
It's used by veterinarians to put down 3-ton elephants, large animals of all kinds, and it is now on our streets.
And when cartels press it to look like oxy, the pill becomes a weapon.
The DEA has a new warning. Just one of these pills can kill.
This wasn't about politics. It was about a cartel tactic that could have become a mass casualty event in Washington, D.C. A cartel-backed plan to push thousands of these counterfeit pills into high schools, clubs, and streets. A move investigators warned could have caused a mass casualty event overnight, and now they have to shut the whole plan down.
24 pounds of carfentanil disguised as real prescription pills. It was carfentanil in prescription pills to look like oxycodone. That should terrify every parent in this country.
The bust wasn't just another drug raid. It was the moment America's capital brushed against a weaponized overdose event. It was a mass kill attempt, but the DEA stopped it. But many are still wondering if this was just a lucky seizure or the closest D.C. has ever come to a chemical weapon attack disguised as medicine. And that's only the beginning, because what investigators uncovered next was a cold, calculated pill-pressing network with direct cartel ties, showing just how fragile city safety really is in this fight against opioids. And the deeper they dug, the worse it got. They weren't painkillers, they were poison. Counterfeit M30 oxycodone tablets, pressed to look like real prescriptions, but laced with carfentanil, a compound so strong it was designed to knock down elephants. The DEA says it's 100 times stronger than fentanyl, and a single speck invisible to the naked eye can kill a human in seconds. In Seattle, the DEA Field Division has already seized thousands of these fake pills, warning the public that the design is deliberate. Cartels stamp the logo, match the color, and sell death in disguise. The DEA Seattle Field Division is warning the public after a seizure of counterfeit M30 pills containing carfentanil in Western Washington.
These fake pills were sold to tens of thousands of Americans in all 50 states across this country.
The risk is simple. Slip one into a high school party, drop a handful in a crowded DC nightclub. Victims would collapse before the first ambulance even arrived.
And when we say counterfeit pills, I want to be very clear. We mean pills that are fashioned to look like legitimate pills that might be prescribed by your doctor. But in fact, they are fake pills. They're being sold in inner cities, suburbs, and rural communities. They're being sold over the internet and on social media platforms like Facebook Marketplace or Snapchat. And they're being marketed to teenagers.
Agents describe this as the closest the Capitol has ever come to a weaponized overdose attack. Pills marketed on Snapchat, Facebook Marketplace, and street corners weren't just targeting addicts. They were being pushed toward teenagers and casual users who thought they were safe. And the deeper investigators dug, the worse it got. Because what they found next didn't just point to pills. It pointed straight to the fingerprints of the cartels. September 16, 2025, a quiet gas station in Centralia, Washington became the scene of one of the deadliest drug busts in U.S. history. After months of surveillance, a K-9 unit alerted on a suspect's vehicle. Inside, officers found 50,208 counterfeit oxycodone pills. The driver, a man from Pacific, Washington, was arrested and now faces federal charges.
A deadly warning tonight from the DEA in Seattle after more than 50,000 pills containing carfentanil were recently seized.
But the real shock came later. Field tests and the DEA Western Lab in California revealed the pills weren't fentanyl. They contained carfentanil mixed with acetaminophen. That single discovery escalated the case from a narcotics bust to what experts called a near mass casualty delivery system waiting to be unleashed. Carfentanil isn't made for humans. It was designed to tranquilize elephants, a drug estimated to be 10,000 times more potent than morphine, 100 times stronger than fentanyl. As DEA Seattle Chief David Reams put it, carfentanil is like fentanyl fentanyl on steroids. The cartels traffic this incredibly dangerous substance in order to profit from our misery. Here's the terrifying part. Just a few grains, invisible to the naked eye, could kill instantly. Narcan, the antidote for opioid overdoses, often fails unless given in massive, repeated doses. And even then, survival is uncertain. Imagine thousands of these pills hitting DC streets, overdoses multiplying faster than first responders could respond. This wasn't just a Washington bust. The CDC reports carfentanil deaths jumped 7-fold in 1 year, now detected in 37 states, including the nation's capital.
Unfortunately, we are now seeing an increase in carfentanil.
If more than 50,000 lethal pills were caught at a gas station, how many shipments have already slipped through unseen? A February traffic stop in Pickerington, Ohio, revealed just how far the cartel's pill pipeline had already stretched. Officers pulled over 41-year-old Jorge Santillan, and inside a gym bag on the passenger floorboard, they discovered 3,723 counterfeit oxycodone pills. But lab tests would reveal a far darker secret.
An Indiana man now locked up after Pickerington police say they discovered thousands of illegal pills in February here at this intersection. That seizure comes as the state says it is seeing a spike in carfentanil cases.
At first glance, the tablets looked like ordinary painkillers. Lab tests told another story. They contained carfentanil and traces of fentanyl. Pills meant to look safe, stamped and colored to mimic the real thing, were actually loaded with a chemical no human can survive.
When they opened up the bag that was there, that's where they found all these pills.
Santillan claimed he was en route to New Jersey to deliver the pills, but investigators say this wasn't a one-man job. The load was tied to the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG, one of the most ruthless trafficking organizations operating in North America. Agents say El Mencho, its wanted leader, runs a network that profits by flooding U.S. cities with counterfeit pills designed to kill.
The CJNG is a ruthless cartel. Their only purpose in life is to make money profiting from the misery of our communities.
Local authorities admitted they rarely see carfentanil pressed into tablet form. Fentanyl dominates most seizures. That made this case even more alarming. A deliberate shift by traffickers to disguise the deadliest opioid as something familiar, easy to swallow, and nearly impossible for the average user to suspect. And here's the warning. If nearly 4,000 carfentanil pills could be discovered by chance at a traffic stop in mid-Ohio, how many more shipments are already moving undetected toward America's biggest cities, including Washington, D.C.? With border pressure tightening, cartels are being forced into riskier, costlier moves. That desperation played out when the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Kimball intercepted a smuggling vessel in the Eastern Pacific, loaded with $214 million worth of drugs bound for American communities.
They're very powerful, and that's what we need, because a lot of it comes in as we block up the border. They start using the water.
Cartels are now burning money on fuel, boats, and trained crews just to move their product, and on the water, they're exposed. Boarding teams, led by Chief Petty Officer Miguel Carreno, explained how every raid is treated like a combat mission. Weapons drawn, suspects secured, cargo cataloged. These vessels don't just carry cocaine anymore. Investigators say they're increasingly hiding fentanyl and carfentanil inside shipments, turning them into floating bombs. What happens next is even more chilling. At the DEA's Southwest laboratory, chemists confirmed cartels are experimenting with carfentanil doses, pressing them into pills designed to look like real prescriptions. A speck on the tip of a pencil can kill instantly, and the cartels are disguising that speck as medicine. This graphic demonstrates just how lethal a dose of carfentanil can be. 2 milligrams of fentanyl, seen on the tip of the pencil on the left, can kill you, while just 0.02 milligrams of carfentanil shown on the right can be fatal. The Coast Guard isn't acting alone. Joint Navy operations in the Caribbean have already destroyed cartel speedboats carrying thousands of pounds of narcotics. Each strike proves traffickers are more vulnerable at sea than they ever were on land, and that's the key. Under Trump's executive order, major cartels are treated as foreign terrorist organizations, giving the military authority to strike their networks at sea. But here's the real danger. While crews fight smugglers on the water, shipments of carfentanil pills, already staged on land, were being tracked toward the nation's capital. And the next chapter reveals just how close Washington, D.C. came to catastrophe. While smugglers were being hunted on the seas, another cartel blueprint was unfolding much closer to home. In Washington, D.C., investigators uncovered a network that was just one step away from unleashing carfentanil disguised as oxycodone into clubs, schools, and commuter hubs. Just one weekend could have left the city counting bodies.
It was nearly 4 years ago that local leaders warned it was just a matter of time before a drug 100 times as powerful as fentanyl would hit the streets of Fresno, and now we have confirmation that it is here. That major drug drug bust you mentioned is bringing both comfort and concern.
The cartel's design was deliberate. Counterfeit pills pressed to mimic prescriptions, branded with the same markings doctors use, and marketed online through platforms like Snapchat and Facebook Marketplace. The victims weren't hardened addicts. They were teenagers, casual buyers, people who thought they were safe, but the feds were ready. Using digital forensics, parcel inspections, and rapid lab analysis, investigators traced the supply chain before the first pill could hit the street. What they dismantled wasn't just a shipment, it was a distribution model that could have seeded across the East Coast.
Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost is warning the community after a major drug bust in Pickerington. Take a look at these pills here. Authorities found almost 4,000 of them in Fairfield County, but they look like a pill you'd get at the pharmacy. But the Attorney General's office says they're actually carfentanil.
Every bust on the water pushed cartels back onto land. Every seizure in D.C. forced them to improvise, and that's the shift. A cartel plan that could have caused a mass casualty event in the capital was cut off before it began. The message is brutal but clear. Every time cartels adapt, the feds are there to slam the door shut. But agents warned this wasn't victory. It was only a pause. Because if the pills seized in D.C. were just a test run, what comes next could be even deadlier. By now, the pattern is undeniable. From gas stations in Washington state to traffic stops in Ohio to smuggling vessels in the Pacific and a hidden storage locker in D.C., the feds have beaten the cartels at every turn. Every move they made was stopped cold. Each bust wasn't just another seizure. It was a strike against a mass kill attempt disguised as medicine.
The reason why I want people to be made aware of this is because some of the pills that are sold off the street could be potentially laced with carfentanil.
Think about it. Pills stamped to look like real prescriptions, laced with a drug 100 times more potent than fentanyl. A dose smaller than a grain of salt can kill. DEA lab directors say the cartels are experimenting with doses like mad scientists, turning American kids into test subjects for profit. But here's the truth. The cartel's mass kill attempt wasn't foiled by luck. It was destroyed by strategy. Border hardening forced them to see. Postal checks exposed their parcels. Field chemists revealed their poisons. And in D.C., agents stopped what could have been the deadliest night the Capitol has ever seen. Every cartel scheme tells the same truth. They will stop at nothing, and we can't afford to let up. Land, sea, or air, they will keep moving. But so will the feds. And now, the stakes are clear. The battle isn't just about drugs. It's about stopping a single counterfeit pill from becoming a weapon of mass death. So here's the question America has to ask. Are we treating this as just another drug war? Or are we ready to face the reality that cartels are running chemical attacks disguised as medicine? Because if this was their last failed attempt, the next one might not miss.